Kailash Temple at the Ellora caves is beyond magnificent, towering above us, brilliant, glorious, awe-inspiring. As we stand at the Kailash Temple of Elora and look up, it takes your breath away. 110 feet below solid rock, excavated down. And as we look forward, gigantic expanse. And a rough calculation tells us that 50,000 tons of granite were excavated and shaped into something magnificent. And everywhere in that space, there are carvings on carvings, sculptures and sculptures. At its height, before time eroded some of its glory, it would have been stupendous. You are in conversation with Tarun and Celia Cherian, co-founders, Creator's Child and Devadara Healing. The sheer scale of the temple and the richness of the sculpture everywhere gives us goose pimples. But probably the most magnificent sculpture is that of Lord Ravan, shaking the foundations of Mount Kailash and doing so with such vigor that he actually terrified the goddess Parvati Devi. But Lord Shiva was unperturbed by Ravan's display of power. Pushing down with a single toe, he trapped Ravan beneath Mount Kailash for 1,000 years. Roughly 30 years ago, I was given a darshan of Lord Shiva, a vision of his with great power and clarity. Lord Shiva showed me his true form beyond all form. An enormous, deep, dark, cosmic ripple. Thunderous, shimmering with power. And as I talked to him, he had smiled and said that his vibration had been brought down so that he could talk to me, yet reveal to all of humanity the sheer power of his being. And he then smiled and told me, if I shift that hum, that vibration by just one single notch, that he could tear this entire universe into our entire universe, not just our planet. The entire universe would be torn like a piece of paper. And yes, that is his power. And so when in the sculpture, in the myth, in the legend, we are told that with a single toe, Lord Shiva quelled one of the greatest human emperors to ever exist with a single toe. It is a metaphor, but it is a truth. The divine is powerful. Imprisoned, Ravan began to sing another tune. Endless praise from Ravan flooded Mount Kailash. Finally, Lord Shiva smiled on him. And after 1,000 years, Lord Shiva forgave him and granted Ravan great powers. But had Ravan learnt humility? Nah. As we all know now, and sculpted into the temple walls is the entire Ramayana, which tells us how Lord Ravan's arrogance ended in bitter defeat and death. Now the story of Lord Ravan is educative, for it tells us that as we grow mentally or spiritually, the power we harnessed can be so great that we can literally shake the very mountains. But if this power is not matched with restraint, with sense, with clarity, with love, with humility, it shall be crushed. And this is the great contradiction of power and spirituality. And so we ask the divine to throw a little light on this whole topic. The God who has been called the sustainer, the one whose threads underlie life and all existence, gave us a beautifully insightful answer. And he said, we gods are supremely aware principles embedded into existence, creating reality. He says that each and every one of us, every single worm, every single human, every single titanic being that travels across the stars, each one of us is a stepped down version of themselves. A little like the electricity in a tiny little battery. It's the same electricity that blazes through the thundering skies. And so he says that the divine expects each one of us to use that power, to push with it to our fullest extent, to literally stretch the limitations that have been placed on us, to surprise ourselves, to see that indeed we are cosmic beings. But then as we start getting the ability to shake the very foundations of not just life but existence itself, we then have to realize that the divine beings are not one-dimensional beings. He says that they are beings that are a unity of power, of clarity, of harmony, of love, of transcendence. And so he says that if you have power, but it is not married with understanding, and if you have understanding, but it is not married to compassion, and if you have compassion, but it does not have overview, it does not have vista, and if you have vista, but it is not accompanied by transcendent divinity, then it shall rise and fall. But even in its fall, it can be magnificent. But is death the end of the story? The last part of the legend deals with Lord Ravan after he dies, after he's been killed by an avatar of Vishnu, one face of the unity we call God. And it is said that depending on whether Lord Brahma killed you, Lord Shiva killed you, or Lord Vishnu killed you, you would have to serve them. And so, according to the great myth, Lord Ravan is serving, is a devotee now of Vishnu, carrying out his tasks. In one sense beautiful, and another sense terrifying. For if we call on the gods, perhaps he may send Lord Ravan to assist us. Thank you for watching the video, subscribing to our channel, visiting creatorchild.com and growing with God.